to Reclaiming America, another episode of common sense approach to common problems that no one seems to be able to solve.
Or otherwise known as Bill and Dan's New Adventure.
Yes, or
remember that movie, Bill and Ted's New Adventure?
Yes, I do remember that movie, and
off of that.
we probably do about the same thing that they would too.
Pretty much, and probably were our intelligence levels what they were in the movie. So
maybe not that high.
yeah, they may have us on that one.
So, but it's good to see you again, sir. Yes. It's been a great, quiet week, huh?
What a week! I don't even know where to begin.
I think we should start out by talking about Mr. Tillis, Senator Tillis.
He's going to be going right off the bat.
I think that, I will admit that, and I'll give you an example. 2 months ago, we were going to go forward with a censure letter at our county, and
Really?
We couldn't get it passed. We've tabled it. And since then, I've been paying close attention to the man, and I get his weekly or almost daily announcements of what he's up to. And I have to tell you that he's done a great job up to now. I think there's only been one issue that he's come out with that we disagreed with, that I just personally disagreed with him. And so my reaction right now is if he's now doing the right thing, maybe he's learned, and maybe we can give him another chance. So anyway, that's
and
my thought on this.
Unicorns are pink and fly through the air and fart rainbows and sparkles.
They're not? Damn, always find out last. It's always me.
So where we want to go with this, if you haven't seen the news in the last couple of days, there was these hearings about TikTok. I don't know if you knew that.
Yes, I know.
So
also Hickory Dickory Doc was up there too.
Yeah, they might as well have had them up there. So in the hearings, there's so much to talk about with that, but we're trying to keep the show somewhat within a
under a day.
Line. But basically what it is they had the CEO of TikTok on, and they were grilling him for hours and hours. And I actually, believe it or not, watched quite a bit of it. I know. As you know, I've talked about it before. I'm a big one about Section 230.
Yes, you are.
So 230, for those that don't know, is in a nutshell what gives Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all of them the ability to ban you and do whatever the hell they want to you.
At their own volition.
At their own volition and with absolutely no accountability.
Correct.
Which is not right, because I've gotten banned multiple times, and it's not just about me, but they tend to ban conservatives. They tend to ban the middle. They tend not to ban the left. Right? We've talked about this many times.
That's because fact checkers are not quite fact checkers.
We won't even go. See, again, we're trying to keep this under 10 hours here, Bill. So I'm trying to bring this really down. So they had the CEO there, and they're grilling him with the most inane, stupid questions I've ever heard asked in my life.
And who were asking these questions?
Both parties, senators.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Both sides. One of the questions, because again, I could spend 2 hours on it, but the best one, does TikTok run on Wi-Fi? And I'm no fan of the CEO of TikTok. Let me be very clear about it. In fact, I can't stand the guy. The incredulous look on his face, they need to make memes out of it. It was that good. Because, yes, it does run on Wi-Fi. So does everything on your phone, by the way. Literally everything.
And probably most of what's on your computer, too.
Pretty much. Now, missed opportunity there, because the question should have been something along the lines of, if TikTok is connected to your Wi-Fi, does it access other data or devices? That's a question.
Yes, it would. That would all give. Can it get the access to your data? Can it read it? Can it send it to somebody?
Could it, for example, be like, I don't know, Siri?
Where Siri answers and you laugh and Siri laughs?
Alexa, or any one of the other ones.
My wife has disconnected Alexa and went in the drawer.
So have I.
It's in the drawer.
But, when you think about that, let's use Alexa just because I like the name. You say to Alexa, add tiddlywinks to my shopping list. That's fine. Nobody has a problem with that. But if you think Alexa's not listening to you all the time, all I have to say is talk to someone in your house about anything that you've never talked about before and see how fast you get ads for it on your phone.
And it would happen to us.
I've had it happen so many times I can't keep track of it. And that's an issue. That's a legitimate issue. That's the question. They didn't ask that question. They asked an inane, stupid, yes, I'm saying it,
And keep in mind that was probably developed by a staff member.
The Senate, and that tells you something because the senators aren't as smart as them. I think. Yeah, I'm going there. I'm going to rail on this. I warned you ahead of time.
It is a Democratic majority, so I'll give you that.
The Republicans were just as bad with their questions, and that's just one of several. All right. Where I want to go with all that, though, is they ask these questions, in my opinion, to get sound bites out of them.
Probably so.
Right? They're not trying to fix anything. So will TikTok get banned? This is where Mr. Tillis comes in, because Mr. Tillis put out a press release. Now, last year he sat on the Commerce Committee.
Mm-hmm.
So he was one of, I think there were only 3 that actually showed up to grill Zuckerberg and whoever the head of Google is, it escapes me right now. Again, inane questions. But after that, it was roughly this time last year. They had him in, they testified. Have you heard anything since then about it?
No.
No, not a word, right? But he fired off a press release yesterday
About TikTok.
about we have to ban TikTok. Not just on government phones, everywhere, because it's a threat. Now, I'm not saying it's not a threat. It is a threat. But they're making it seem that the threat is the Chinese government.
Well, the reality is that it's owned by the Chinese, and if it's owned by the
Partially
Chinese,
owned. Well, to be
it's also
fair,
owned by the government
It's
then,
partially owned by them.
because the government owns everything there.
But if you think, and you're going to love this one, if you think Meta, Facebook, Instagram, and Google aren't exactly the same way, it doesn't matter that the CCP owns it. They still are getting the information from Facebook.
They probably can dump in and grab what they want
Not
anyway.
probably, Bill. They are doing it. Okay?
But at least, if it's a known quantity, I at least appreciate them dealing with the known quantity.
I think they need to stop trying to target the known and deal with the real issue. So the crux of this whole thing, and this is where our argument would be, and I want you to disagree with me, you know that, is that there's a saying in the tech world and in marketing. If there is not a product that they're trying to sell you, you are the product. Meaning, Facebook, Twitter, all of them are mining our data to levels that we have no comprehension about. And they're creating avatars out of it. So they'll take everyone, let's use Bill and I. So Bill's 70 years old. And I'm almost 60. So they would take what I do online, what I say in my house, all that stuff. They take what you say, and they combine all that data together. And then they share it. And it gets shared not just with the Chinese government. Here's where I'm going to go. What other government do you think might be getting that information?
U.S. government, without a doubt.
Of course they
Without
are.
a doubt.
And that's my point, right? Is they're trying to use the Chinese government as a straw man to hide what they're doing.
Well, if you take this to the next level, I don't know if you heard about, I'm not going to clam up on you on this one.
Never happened. Corruption?
I did not have enough time this morning, but I started to go down the rabbit hole of donations from Meta and Google to politicians. Oh boy, is that a rabbit hole to go down?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
And it is mega bucks. And it's both sides, by the way. More Democrat than Republican, but it is both sides.
If I remember correctly, even our minority leader in the Senate spent
Tad. A wee bit, just a smidge. And that's my point with all of this. It's not to pick on Tillis particularly, or to pick on TikTok, or to fight in favor of TikTok. It's that this is, the left hand doing something. Let's make TikTok the enemy, while the right hand is picking the pocket of everybody in the U.S.
It's all the basis of magic.
It's called the U.S. government, is what it's called.
Our government is right there for us all the time.
Uh-huh.
We can prove that in just Syria today.
Well, we'll go there in a minute. Save that thought, because I want to put a bow on this. So that's what's got me fired up, because, again, I full disclosure, I have a pretty large TikTok following. I have a decent YouTube, Facebook. I got rid of it pretty much, and Instagram. So I've used many of them. They all do the same thing, and that's my point. And they are all, and Twitter, for example, Elon Musk has released the intertwining of the U.S. government with it. We are speaking out on behalf of the common man. The common man is the one's getting screwed by this.
Absolutely.
I don't care about the far left and far right here because maybe they should be monitored. You know, they're burning down buildings. Yeah, I think the government should be involved in monitoring that. You know, if the far right's doing whatever, yeah, okay, you know, extremist groups, absolutely. I don't have a problem with that. Get a judge to sign a warrant and do it that way.
But not a FISA warrant.
Not, you keep trying to change that. But when it comes down to, like you said, if you go buy a box of ammunition, they're tracking everything we're doing, everywhere you're going. You know, people will say, well, just get rid of them.
Which brings an interesting question to that, though.
Yeah.
If they're so hot to trot about getting everything registered, in fact, every time you buy something, you are registering it from that dealer. They have to report it. The only thing you're not going to get control of is if I give it to you as a friend or I give it to a relative. That's about
And they're trying to close that loophole
Yeah, they
even.
definitely
Yeah.
are.
And
But for the most part, all sales from anybody are being tracked and monitored and recorded.
yeah, they are.
So I don't know why they need all this extra information about people as for what they're buying.
Well, that's my point, right? Why would they need all this information? Why are they tracking where we're going? And to circle back to China, China has the social credit score now. So if you did a show like this in China,
But now the doors are being broken down.
well, not only that, their new thing, not to break the doors down, I don't know if you saw this, is you won't be able to get a job. You won't be able to ride a train. So they had a guy on YouTube from China. He's a journalist and he got it smuggled out. So he tried to use their subway, whatever it was, in whatever city it was. So he goes to get his ticket and he was declined. Your social credit score does not allow you to take the train
I
anymore.
haven't heard this yet.
This is in China. But what happens in China, if you think it's not going to happen here eventually, because you're seeing it with the woke crowd now.
China spelled California.
And Newyork. You know, what's happening there is going to happen here because we see the pattern already. Like you said, California being the perfect example of it.
New York at their heels.
Right there, 1 and 1A. But it comes down to basically they're going to control not just what you say, but where you go, whether you can buy food, right? You think they want these electric cars to save the environment? Hell no. Tesla has the ability to say right now, no, you can't drive your car. Turn it off. They already have that technology.
Yeah, I know about that.
They have the technology to go, yeah, drive Bill to the police station to be arrested. And you can't stop it. Oh, yeah.
They can reroute my car. to
Yes,
deliver
they
me
can.
someplace.
Self-driving. They can override the software and do it. Would they do it right now? No.
But in 10 years from now.
But
who
in
knows?
10, 50, whatever number of years down the road, that's where I get all fired up about this. Is because it's frogs in a pot. You don't realize what's happening to you because it's so slow. They are geniuses.
For those who don't understand what that analogy is, if you put the frogs in a cold pot of water and you slowly heat it up, they don't realize
They don't know.
they're being burned or floated. But if you start with hot water and throw them in, they scream
They-
all the while. But start it cold, put them in there, and gradually raise that heat, and they have no idea.
They have
till it's
no
too
idea
late.
what's going on. Yeah.
That's how you get frogs like. Jump right out at you.
Do you eat lobster?
Not often.
Those poor lobsters. Alive, tossed into
Oh, I
boiling
know,
water.
And you hear those little screams.
Where's PETA on that one? But anyway, I don't want to go there. So anyway, that's my little tirade for today. What do you think?
I think your tirade is fairly accurate. I'm not sure that we should be laying it on one particular person.
Well, I just picked on him.
Yeah, I know you do, and I would defend him at this point because I think he has made some mistakes. He has definitely taken me down the road where I wanted to.
Careful how you say this.
Let's say, have a scolding of him and take him
There
to the
you-
woodshed.
much
Have that.
better.
Okay. However, lately, because I've been monitoring him, he's either done one of two things. He's actually turned around what he's doing, or he's hired himself two great social media press people. Because about every 3 days, they're coming out with something that everybody likes to hear.
Well, yeah, it's not him writing those. I mean,
Oh,
know as well. So for those of you that don't know, by the way, because I do follow him on Facebook, I don't check it often. And this applies, by the way, for any Republican, but he'll put a post up, and there will be within a matter of seconds 50 posts railing against him. It's they're bots doing it, and if you actually go looking at the account, and I have, you'll see the occasional human, I'll call it, but a lot of them have 3 friends. They're bot accounts that are doing that. So what that does is it creates the perception that there's a big negative swell against him. It's all about perception. Perception
It's like
becomes
somebody
reality.
calling you and telling you that they've heard from 10 or 15 different people that I should do something different.
There you
They don't
go.
bother calling me.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
But it's funny how people think, well, ex-politician, he didn't post nothing. His aides posted it and it may not even be like the close aide.
There's Adam and there's a young woman with him, and they do all his social posts.
Right. There's usually one or
And they
two.
put their name on it. Contact me if you want to know about it.
Yep.
It's right there.
And a lot of the politicians, they farm it out to the college interns. Probably not at the Senate or congressional level, but at the state level, I know for a fact, one particular politician up north, he doesn't even know how to use social media, and he has a college intern that does it for him. The negative to it is he's like your age, and he sounds like he's 20. So it's kind of
Not?
no, too easy. But yeah, so
I wasn't talking about IQ now. Thought I'd save that
I was
shot
letting
for
it
you.
all,
Go
I was
ahead.
letting it all go, Bill.
I'm ready.
But it's just interesting how people. That's another good point to make. Is that's not reality. That's a perception that's out there. Social
But at
media.
least his people are making an attempt to show you what he's supporting, and you can make your own decisions as an informed person. And I will tell you, 2 months ago, I wanted his head on a wall. Now I'm looking back there and saying, okay, he's at least trying to go the right way, and I'll give them a chance to do that.
And that's where we'll disagree. We'll have to agree to disagree.
Look, I will defend to the death your right to be wrong. I will do that.
Until I see the bill put in, not to just ban TikTok, but to get rid of 230 and hold these companies accountable. Because it's not a party issue. It's a uniparty issue.
Except you have one party at this point.
Oh, the bill's not going to go anywhere. I already know that.
I mean, you look today, again, taking off on a little tangent. The House passed the Parents' Right Act this afternoon. Okay, and that
Yeah.
is, and
Well, we should kind of talk
it was
about that.
right
'Cause
along
yeah.
party lines.
Yep.
And it basically gives the parents a right to know what's going on, what the kids are being taught, and how the discipline is in the school, and basically all the things that, as a parent, you would want to know. And and we've already had the leader of the Senate, Chuck Schumer, turn around and say it's dead on arrival.
Yeah, because he thinks all parents are, I can't use the N word, Nazis. I didn't use the word TikTok and YouTube and all them. I didn't use the word. I spelled it. I'm glad you brought that up because I had heard about that and I actually followed that bill a little bit. To think that we've reached a level in this country where, a 32-year-old soccer mom who goes to the Board of Ed and says, hey, why are you teaching my kid? Whatever, I don't care if it's controversial or not, is now labeled as a domestic terrorist. Scary stuff.
And beyond that, there have been parents who have gone to school board meetings and read paragraph and verse out of the textbooks in their kids' school libraries, and they've been cut off and thrown out, as being vulgar, et cetera, from the meeting and labeled.
Yeah, but
and all they're doing is reading a book that any child in the school could grab.
Correct. That's where we're at right now, and that's again, it's more frogs in the pot.
And you got to keep in mind there are two ways that schools get books. Okay. one way the librarian gets a small
They get their
fee
stipend
that
or
they
whatever.
can order
Yeah.
whatever they want, they think they need to fill in. The other thing is a bulk delivery that central office arranges. So they get a bunch of books that they buy from somebody, and usually they're not a conservative site.
Oh God, no.
And those books get delivered to the school and they get put
Yeah.
out there.
And
So there's two levels of
It's usually
books coming out,
purchased either at the district or school board level,
or even at the state level. and
or at
distributed
the
there,
state level. That's true.
And
You're,
coming down from the state and it gets everywhere.
some of it too. I don't know about where you were, but volunteers bring in books also, donate them.
And if they don't like the book, it sits in the shelf and never gets processed onto the
Yeah.
wall.
Something like The Catcher in the Rye, which I was mandated to read 30 years ago, is now, to my knowledge, been banned by a lot of places.
Well, guess what else is being banned now?
Well, that Bible's one of them.
Well, the Bible's been gone for a while.
Yeah.
The latest thing now is that famous Civil War story. Rhett Butler.
Really, I had not heard this one.
Because of the way it portrays slavery. It's probably, they want to take it out of the schools because it's showing slaves that liked what was happening. And there's a reality. Slavery is bad. We're not arguing that.
Oh, absolutely it is.
But there were reasonable, if you want to use that term, slave owners that at least treated their people decently versus the ones that were horrible.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that was a good thing.
No, I know exactly.
But, they're trying to ban that book now because of Rhett.
I hadn't heard about that one.
Oh, yeah, that was about a week ago.
I did hear about Red Badge of Courage was another one they were
haven't heard that
targeting.
one, no.
Yeah, they were targeting that one. I'm not sure why. Curiously, though, Das Kapital hasn't been targeted, or the Communist Manifesto, both of which, by the way, I read in high school.
Rules for radicals,
Or none of them have been banned.
because they're necessary for you to understand to move forward. But
Exactly.
anything that says patriotism in it is a bad thing.
Yeah, anything-
Patriotism is a bad thing.
Anything that says common sense in it,
Well,
you know.
what you need to understand with globalism is one over the world, and we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
That's where they look. They don't get down to nitty gritty of how you run a town, a city, a community. They deal with how the
They
country
want-
needs
yeah.
to run.
Or the world,
Or
more
the
precisely,
world,
more
okay.
precisely
And
the
so
world.
the little things, the minutiae, they don't want to deal with.
And it goes back to what we've also talked about. They got to get rid of the United States to make
Oh, yeah.
that happen.
Because as long as we are exceptional, they can't bring the
They
rest.
can't.
They can either bring us down to their level, and the scary thing is, we've talked before, if they ever succeed, where do we go? Do we follow our president to Canada today?
Yeah.
Went there today, and hopefully they're going to
We'll stay there.
COVID or something, and then we'll come back for 2 weeks.
Well, isn't Canada's rule if you get COVID, you're stuck there for like 21 days? You would know.
At least 2 weeks. Yeah, at least 2-week lockdown. I heard a rumor in this school.
By the way, no, I don't
And
wish.
it's actually long-term goal.
Yeah, just for the record, I don't wish COVID on anyone. I'm joking. I got to make that clear because I know, yeah.
And just for the record, I might be.
They're going to see what's going to happen now is they're going to clip that out
That's going to become a
and it's going to
soundbite.
become a soundbite and used. But, where would you go? Europe?
Yeah. South America,
Well, I guess you could-
Central America,
China?
China, Russia,
It's
Africa,
Africa might be the best option out of it.
Antarctica.
And yeah, there's problems down there, I heard too. So
Yeah, that's just penguin issues.
it is, they, never mind. I don't want to go there.
I'm not going to go there. Either.
But yeah, it's we are the dam holding back the water right now.
We got so many fingers in it trying to keep the dam from
And
collapsing.
that's the problem is you have to give them credit. They are geniuses at what they're doing. And
I'm
they're
not sure they're geniuses or we just woke up too late.
both. I'll give you both. But this has been probably 100-odd years in the making.
So this started in the 1920s. And
I
30s.
I was going World War One-ish. Yeah, so same
As soon
time
as- because
frame.
They tried after World War One to have
Yeah.
a revolution like they did in communist
uh,
countries.
Russia,
And it
yeah.
really didn't work here.
Yeah, it didn't
So
fly.
they realized they had to take over the education system
Yep.
and train it long distance, and that's what they did.
Which, by the way, read the Communist Manifesto, and it's all laid out in there how to
Yeah.
do it. So that's why one of the reasons I read it.
You take over the legal system, you take over the education system, you take over journalism, you take over judicial. You
Gee.
basically own the world.
What haven't they taken over out of all those? None at this point. Judicial's wavering.
They have not claimed reclaiming America yet.
And then
They're
they
still
never
fighting
will.
that one.
I'll go to a camp before I'll stop that. And I'll be one of the first ones put on the
Would
train.
that be overnight camp or day camp?
It'll be the all expense paid one way trip camp, Bill.
Yeah, it's Siberia 102.
Yeah. Yeah, where would they send us?
Probably the Gobi Desert and or the mountains.
I was
Pick your
sorry,
place.
yeah, well I was thinking they'd send us to Gitmo and then Gitmo can only hold so much, but
No, they'd put you out in either the desert or they'd take you up to a mountain launch, and then they'd leave you up there in the mountains and climb down on your own.
yeah.
And here's your shoes that you wore to dance. Go down, try to climb.
And you think that that can't possibly happen here, but did you ever think that parents would be labeled as domestic terrorists for daring to speak out on behalf of their children? Did you ever think you'd be silenced from saying something as basic as, that shot, maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it might protect you if you get sick, but it might not prevent you from spreading it or getting it.
Speaking about the shot today, you heard about the Court of Appeals.
I did.
Would you like to address that since
Oh, no,
do you want me to clam up on it?
go for it. I want to be the reactor.
11-6.
2-1, basically. Yeah.
Came out and told the Biden administration it did not have the authority to
To-
force federal employees to take the mandated vaccinations. So their next stop is going to the Supreme Court. Lots of luck.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah, I want to be there for that one. I may drop by to watch that one.
But taking it further that's government level. That's starting to set a precedent for private also.
Well, the only thing we haven't yet addressed is the military out of that.
That's going to be the other one. Yeah. So the question to be asked is, because we know the Supreme Court's going to go, they probably won't even hear the case at this point because they'll just affirm it. Who knows? We'll see. But where do we go from that, right? Do all of those people that were fired get their back pay?
Reinstated back pay, seniority.
That's what they're supposed to get. But will they is the question. Do all those people who ostracize those people get held accountable for doing so?
But the other
We
side-
know the answer, but yeah.
The other side of that coin is, by doing that, aren't you not punishing those people who had nothing to do with it?
Exactly.
So there's no winners in this operation.
There is. That's a great way to put it. There are no winners. It's that when I saw that come down, and I kind of knew it was a slam dunk decision. I mean, I'm surprised 6 people supported allowing it. It just speaks again. I guess the theme of this show today is how frogs. I'm going to call it "Frogs in the Pot." That'll be the title for it.
That's actually a
Because
good
it's
one.
kind of falling right in with all of that. And we don't intentionally do that, but it's kind of fallen there. It speaks to, was this, I got to be careful now because YouTube will get pissed. Was this, how much did they know and how much did they hide and attempt to silence people? I've spoken about it before. I got an account banned on YouTube for daring to say that, hey, I'm not against the shot, but the reality is it doesn't look like it's doing anything to prevent you from getting COVID or spreading it. And I was banned within a day. Turns out I was right. And they, by the way, did I tell you I emailed them?
No.
I emailed YouTube.
And,
I haven't heard back. What a shock.
do you think? Well,
So it's been,
you know what we're not going to get an answer to? The number of these young athletic people.
Oh,
in their
it's
20s and
scary what's
30s
going
and
on.
40s
Yeah.
Who are suddenly just having heart issues and dying.
well, there was, again, I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I don't watch TV. I watch YouTube. Go figure. There was a doctor who, on his channel, was talking about myocarditis and that he's starting to study this. He's a cardiologist. He's starting to study the people that are dying. And he's getting stonewalled for obvious reasons. But he's postulating that there's definitive proof out there already. They know. Whether that's true or not, who knows?
I will go back to the middle of COVID when we were all locked down, and I had a meeting with my primary care doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and she told me that when she tried to enter some of this data into the database going to the feds about what, they wouldn't accept it.
They're not. Yeah, there were certain things they weren't allowed to report.
And they
Yeah.
wouldn't accept any of this data that
Right.
way, only positive.
Right. It's if it fits the narrative, it's okay. If it didn't, so again, frogs in a pot again. Right. We keep circling back to that, but it has me wondering because you were labeled a conspiracy theorist. I was. Anybody who said, "Hey, can we ask a question?" That's it.
Yeah, but you know what the real problem is gonna be? By 2025, we're gonna be out of conspiracies because they're all been proven
Every-
right. So there's no conspiracy
It's-
theories left. We're on a
it-
shortage of conspiracy theories.
I was we haven't talked about the Trump thing, which we'll get
get
to,
there.
but remember that was all a conspiracy theory.
From the very beginning?
From the beginning. And, everything as, Russiagate, all of them have turned out. Trump is like 6-0.
Yeah. A good slice of this population doesn't know
Help.
that.
Henry got fired up on that one.
Yeah, Henry's back now.
No, they don't know because they listen to the sound bites. And
They listen to CNBC and
CNN, MSN,
and
MS,
MSLSD.
it's MSDNC. That's
Oh,
what
I
I
go
call
to
it.
MSLSD.
Well, DNC,
they're on the
LSD,
high.
same thing. Yeah, I said it. But it's, you see how what I'm coming down to with it is it's a manipulation of information, control of information. Where is that straight out of? The Communist Manifesto. How to implement
Actually, if you want to follow fascism too. It's right.
they're all in there.
Yep.
Every one of them, they start out with that. You got to, like you said, you got to control education, legal, judicial,
and journalism. You
and
own it all.
journalism and the military, which they're getting. That's another one,
They
right?
have stripped our military. to
Pretty
the
much.
Scary.
So who's on our side now, right? And all they have to do is manipulate to really kind of put a bow on this social media because that is the town hall now, right? Information is shared on social media at this point.
Good, better, and different.
Even the news networks have lost their influence for the most part. Nobody, how many people watch the NBC nightly news with Chet Huntley and David Brickley? That was, back when
I
Bill.
thought they were on. I'm getting
No,
scared.
back when Bill was a senior citizen, they were on.
God, I was scared for that.
No.
I still do the knit at home. I was really worried.
I'm trying to get like our younger viewers to have to go do some research on who they
Go back
are.
to Walter Cronkite.
There's another one. Well, everybody knows who he is. Nobody knows who
Wanna
David
bet?
Brinkley is.
You
True.
want to put money on that one?
No, I don't because I would lose. But back then it was basically 3 newscasts controlling the information. Now
Who was
it's
the guy at ABC too? He's not Eric Severoid, but there's one of them up there that he was.
ABC was like the small guppy in the
Yeah,
pond at the
agreed.
point. So I have no idea. You either fell into Cronkite or you fell into Brinkley and Chet Huntley. But
That's what I read in my history books.
you wrote the history books. Who are you kidding?
Thank you for being such an intelligent.
The
person.
Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire. That's Bill's autobiography. Yeah, I went there. But yeah, it's now you're seeing the information controlled at a different level and through social media. And what's interesting to me though is, as much as they're trying to put the stopper on the bottle, they're really not doing it. The information's still getting out. And so
The
anyway,
question is, still not getting out to enough people.
no,
But again, we've talked about this before. When enough people are hurting, they're going to start paying attention. But right now, we are not there yet. And what they're doing is they're trying to make sure it doesn't get there. We were talking before the show started. Philadelphia, with their latest $1,000 a month plan for
oh, let's go there.
if you are pregnant and not wealthy, you can get $1,000 a month for 18 months, no strings attached, with the promise you're going to do better, take care of yourself and your baby.
So all I have to do is identify as a woman, claim I'm pregnant, because it's my body, my choice. You can't test me. And
Good point.
I'm lining this up, man. I'm going to get some grants down the road here. So I should get $1,000
For 18 months.
for free because, you're going to tell me I'm not a man. That would be offensive, right? Can't do that now. I'll even go further. I'll identify as a Indian female because you can't tell me I'm not, even though obviously, because it's even.
You go to the district, you could be a lesbian Indian female.
We can go there. You just start lining up the marginalized groups, but if you say anything against it,
Yeah, you're dead.
you can use that back at them, and then they get really upset. But I believe they've made the rules. I'm going to play by them. I mean, I have long considered applying for, the states. North Carolina is one. New York has grants for women-owned businesses. Okay, I'll identify as a woman. Apply for it. What do you think is going to happen?
I don't think you're going to get the money.
Oh, no shit, right? Of course I'm not. But then I'm going to hammer them, right?
You get a lawyer. Call Chuck.
But I mean, I'm talking absurdities here, but that's the rules now.
Yep. But the other, you know that our governor was in town yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Did you really not know he was here?
No.
He came,
I don't follow milk toast.
He was in Wilmington. He was in your part of the
Oh
county.
God! Why'd they let him in?
He came to discuss what he thinks we need to improve our educational system, especially in Wilmington, where there was a story where one of the Board of Ed members this week was on the air announcing that they have one school that in particular that has a 9% proficiency in reading. That's 0.9, not 90, not 19, 0.9 in reading. And his answer, and actually I got to take the board person on also, her answer was incentives to teachers to do better.
So you're going to reward them for being failures?
No, you're going to reward them for doing their job.
No, they have failed. Here, let's give them a check now.
What the attorney man is saying is that if you do your job and you raise your test scores, we'll give you extra money. But let's narrow that down a minute. Isn't that what you're supposed to be doing?
That is your job.
You think that it works that way. But anyway, he was in here also talking that we need to boost teachers' salaries an average of almost 20% over the next 2 years. So they will be the highest paid in the Northeast and 25th or 26th in the country. In the Southeast.
I was going to say, wait a minute, what? Yeah, the brain was going. I know we're from the Northeast originally, but we don't care about them anymore.
We're on the turning the whole.
So again, I'm not necessarily opposed to teachers getting more money. That's a whole other. We could do a whole show on that because you and I would debate harshly on that one because I'm no fan of teachers unions, by the way.
Oh, I'm no fan of teachers unions. So it wouldn't be a debate.
It's a big scam going. Yeah, I said it.
To defend teachers unions.
And Bill spent decades in K-12. I spent 3 years before I was ready to vomit and had to get out.
Principal, assistant principal, teacher.
IT guy. It's
IT stands for intense trouble, by the way.
Bill had a lot of ID 10T errors. If you're not sure what those are, write it down and it'll explain it to you. Now you made me lose my train. Oh, I was talking about education. So, I mean, we should do a full show about education at some point because I think it would be really interesting to get different perspectives on it. Education has failed in the last, I'll say 40 to 50 years, somewhere in there. Maybe shorter. What do you think?
Well, I think it really 70s on. It took
Okay, so about that. I was thinking late 70s, early 80s, so right in that area. Some of that.
I'll tell you why it happened.
Oh, you were there.
I was just started.
He's the reason for it, by the way.
Back then, the schools took the stance: we can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need you, parents. Go away.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do what we need to do, and we can educate. We can solve all the problems.
We
in the
know
world.
better than you.
Yeah, we know better than you.
Yep.
And that started the downhill slide.
Because we have PhDs and master's degrees, and you peasants.
And unfortunately, those with the PhDs and master's degrees who write these plans that everybody's supposed to follow has never spent a day in a classroom.
No.
They've done the research. They've had people in classrooms giving these tests, and that shows. That was the other thing. Speaking about this incentive money,
Mm-hmm.
there have been documented cases of schools where they fixed the test results so they can get their raises.
I might be aware of one.
And the reality is, and I've been in districts where we caught schools teaching for the test.
Oh,
They-
that's a given, I think, at this point.
You're no longer teaching what you need to know. You need to know these answers. I
And,
don't know.
and I'm going to defend the teachers on that one. What choice do they have? Because I can't speak for North Carolina. You would know better than I would. But in New York, they are graded based on those test scores. And I've been in, I was the IT guy. I was sitting there because they're all on the,
Not quite.
they're computerized, and I would see the kid, like I sat there, one kid, the kid was where you were, and he went C to every single answer. He was done in 3 minutes. And the teacher, I called the teacher over and I said to her, just so you know, and she's like, I'm screwed because there's not, even though if I make them aware of it, I'm going to be held accountable for that. And so, when you see stuff like that, I can understand. I'm not saying that it's right. I can understand why they do it.
One of the things, though, that I do approve of when they started giving out incentive type programs,
Mm-hmm.
they're telling you take the kids from where they are
Mm-hmm.
and move them a grade level. So if you're teaching a fifth grade class and three of your kids are third graders, you're not expected to make them a sixth grade reader in a year. You need
Make
to
them a
get
fourth.
to fourth grade or better, as long as you can get that done. And in special education, or depending where you are, which school, if you can move them a half a grade or three-quarters of a grade, depending on the disability, that could be a good thing too. But you gotta move the kids; they can't stay where they are.
Again, we could do a whole show on this, and
Oh, yes,
I think we're
good.
going to have to because this would be really interesting. Because I don't think people understand what's going on.
And I will tell
They're
you,
trying to.
report card, oh, piece of garbage.
The only thing they're good for is wiping your butt afterward, pretty much.
And either making a parent very happy or a parent.
I
not
still
so
have
happy if
all of
they're
mine,
not.
by the way.
I'm sure you do because you printed them as you needed. You were IT.
I was really good at changing them.
I actually did my master's on my project. My master's degree was a written report card rather than a grade report card. So comments were written about the students.
Oh yeah, that's what they used to do back.
Yeah. But I'm talking about at the middle school and high school level.
Uh-huh.
This was not done at the elementary where you normally just got.
Yeah, I'm trying. I think it was up through middle school for me, but that was the late '70s for me.
It was
so.
that to do with the chisel. They just kind of put your information.
Well, yeah, that would be you. Go there. Yeah, anyway.
I started it, so I guess.
Yeah,
I did
you
that one.
deserve that one, but there should be commentary about it because in a nutshell, it's communication with the parent. One of the things you always hear teachers say, "I wish parents communicated with us more."
No,
Nah, that's not. They say it.
they don't mean it.
They don't. There is where I was going to go with it. They say it. Oh, school boards. We wish parents came to meetings. Well, the parents did come to the meetings. What'd you do? You threw them out and called them domestic terrorists.
I remember a teacher of mine. One of the kids wasn't terribly bad kid, but she was hyperactive at times.
Mhm.
So teacher couldn't get him to do anything. I said, make sure the father knows. I had the father come in and spend the day following her in all classes, and just sat in every class for that kid. The teacher had a fit. He's in my classroom. He's going to see what
Oh,
I'm doing.
yeah.
That doesn't work because now you haven't got that veil in front of you to protect you when that door
Can't
closes.
hide what you're doing.
because there's someone there watching.
Yeah, there was. Well, during COVID, you saw it, right? It got found out because people were seeing what was going
COVID
on.
was the biggest unintended consequence the world ever
Oh,
ran.
yeah,
They've ended up screwing themselves over big time over that.
and it did draw the curtain back.
Yes.
And they're trying to
The
close
Wizard
it.
of Oz, they
Yeah,
checked back
oh,
there and
yeah.
they didn't find the guy they thought they'd
Yeah,
find.
and it was not good, and hopefully we won't let them reclose that curtain. If I still had kids in school, I would be the domestic terrorist at school board meetings now, and maybe it's wrong that I just don't get involved with that right now. I'm fighting bigger fish is the way I look at it, but I was active. I went to school board meetings. I remember when I had twins, they were both in grade school, and they were going to do away with Halloween costumes. We were going to make them, what was the term they used? It was some stupid term. But basically, we're not going to celebrate Halloween, but we're going to celebrate it by everybody having the exact same thing and calling it whatever it was. And
Pretty.
they didn't use that term back then, but basically that's what it was. And their argument was things along the line, well, some kids can't afford costumes and all that. Okay, well, help them out. So they did away with Halloween, and I fought it and fought it and fought it. But I was an army of one.
Which made it even.
I mean, I did have some people like, yeah, he's right, blah, 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 but 99% of them were frogs in the pot again. I'm going to keep circling
But,
back.
All things being, up front, I was a high school principal in North Carolina, and when they tried to put in uniforms, and I was told to make uniforms for everybody, and their first answer was they wanted white shirts and tan pants, and that was the outfit. And I went to the board and I said, and because then the kids will not know the difference if you're all dressed
Yeah,
the same.
because,
I said,
okay.
let me explain to you. That kid over there is wearing a $200 white top. That kid over there's got something coming out of the bargain store. And every kid in the room can tell you exactly where they bought that stuff.
And the one kid's wearing a watch that costs $1,000 and the other one's got nothing. Yeah, it kind of speaks to what you talked about earlier, which is people that are in rooms writing studies and things
And no contact to the real world.
don't have a clue what's going on in the real world.
No.
And, rather than deal with the issue, they come up with these solutions that create more issues.
Now, I was fortunate because, again, the school was, 750 people in Edenton.
Mm-hmm.
John A. Holmes High School, by the way, great place to be. Had a great principal in the early 2005 to 2009 area. Wonderful guy. But,
He replaced you, right? The guy that came in after you screwed it all up.
Thank you for your support. As always, I'm drowning. Who's there with a glass of water?
Here's
I
the
appreciate
anchor.
that. But I convinced the board they didn't want to see saggy pants. They wanted to see belts on clothing. They didn't want to see the girls couldn't have any skin showing between their top and and their pants and whatever else. So I went to the kids and I said, and I grabbed the leaders and I said, here's the
Talking to the kids, who would have
I
thought?
have them in the room. I said, here's the situation. Choice A is I put you all in uniforms. And you're going to have to wear a white top and a brown pair of pants. Choice B is you can wear whatever you want to school, providing with whatever limitations, including with language on your shirts. But you can wear anything else you want for that. And 99% of that school listened. It wasn't a hard problem. I will give you my favorite story with it, and it's a kid named, no, I won't say his name because he's a kid.
First names only.
Okay. He came into my office one day and he didn't have a belt. And you required a belt to hold your pants up. So I kept 100-foot of rope in my
I could see you
and
doing
I
that
would cut
too.
off whatever you needed, and he made himself a belt.
It's a belt.
He was good. 3 weeks later, he came back and told me it was getting worn. Could he get another one?
I was going to say, did that become a fashion
It
trend?
became
I
his.
knew it. I
You
knew
know,
it.
and I got to tell you, this was a big kid. He ate up a good 5 feet of rope every time I cut him a piece to do that. But he, for the rest of that year, about every 3 weeks,
for
he'd come
him.
to my office saying, Mr. Moore, can I get another one? This is a little frayed and dirty.
I
said, yeah, go
like
cut
it.
yourself a piece.
I
was
like
fine.
it. Yeah, because you created a fashion trend.
I did, and it was okay with him.
A unique solution, solved the problem.
But he was the only one in the entire school that wore it every day. I mean, some kids
Well, yeah.
occasionally had to.
Yeah, but he wanted
he
to
was
stand
good
out.
with it. It became his
Yeah.
his part of his identity.
And, now if you did that now, oh God, they'd be all over you for doing something like
Yeah,
you
I'd
singled
probably
him
be right
out.
to school, but I
You-
do it
yeah,
anyway.
it's like why I don't coach football anymore because I would be in jail.
I will never forget. Mr. Moore, this little frayed. Can I get another one? Go in the corner, cut yourself a piece, and you'll be fine. And he went back and took it.
We could do 2 more hours on education.
Yeah, we could. But
And
we haven't covered something very important.
we've got a few things, but what do you got?
I was thinking about that little issue that our former president might be involved in.
Little issue.
That little minor
That-
issue
that
where New York State is
misdemeanor,
trying
you
to
mean?
put him in jail over something that nobody in their right
By the way, did
mind
you see
would
the
do.
deep fake video?
No, I haven't.
So that somebody created a video of him being arrested, and he's falling back, and they got him in handcuffs, and it was geniusly done. I mean, if you did not know it was fake, you would swear it was real. And they put it out there, and guess who started running with it? Oh, they got him. No, they didn't. It was all fake. you and I have different takes on it. I think. I think
With
this
the
is
same ending.
pretty much. I think this is the, if not one of the, it is the most dangerous thing going on right now. Because, look, I don't care what you think about Trump. If and I told you this off air. If it was Hillary, I'd still have a problem with this. If it was
Less of a problem. With Trump.
if it was Bubba, if they decided to go after for Bill for the,
White order, where he paid a fine.
well, I
and
was thinking more
lost
of,
his license for 5 years.
maybe charging him with SA for using his power to get an intern to, uh, stain her dress. How's that?
I thought he was giving harmonica lessons.
Because technically that was SA by definition.
But by definition, it wasn't oral sex.
No, but my point with that would be I would have a problem with that now. Now, at the time, maybe not. But what you're basically doing is you're weaponizing the judicial system against a political person.
And
Did I say that without getting in trouble? I was trying to put it in a way that didn't get me in trouble.
not only that, but the administration side of the house that's got to arrest him and take him in.
Well, yeah, all of that.
whole
So
package.
when I say judicial, it's everything, top
Well,
down. Yeah,
But we look at the executive and judicial as three separate parts of two parts of government.
not anymore. They're all one big thing now.
No, our legislature is it's just a blob.
It's just.
Except in North Carolina, we have a great.
I
we
knew
have a
it.
great.
Why
general
did I
assembly.
know he was going to do that? You just can't let that go, can you?
No, they're doing a terrific job since 2010 when they've taken over.
We're supposed to be neutral, Bill.
I am neutral.
Anyway,
Discuss the
I'm
disgusting
just
job
having-
the Democrats did prior to that.
I'm just.
neutral.
I love it. I do love
Anyway,
it.
back to
Anyway, back
Trump.
to it. So when you look at that whole scenario, again, I don't care that it's Trump. I wouldn't care who it was. You don't go back and number one, he wasn't president at the time. So that's an issue right there. Two, the lady in question, again, I'm trying to be nice here, has on multiple occasions stated nothing ever happened. That gets lost. She came out and said it again this week. Nothing ever happened. And I'm not saying it because I got paid hush money. She put out a written statement saying that.
Well, did you see the attorney that they're throwing all back on this thing?
Oh, God. Oh, go ahead.
And the reality is, they have a document from him that does two things. One, that says in writing that he was not involved in any of this. He had nothing to do with it. And the best one was when he accused his attorney of releasing confidential information. And his attorney held up the paper. You released me to say it. Here's your signed document. And he was right on TV watching him. I'm going, if
But-
stupid were money, you'd be in mine.
It's the whole thing. I mean, it'll never hold up, but doesn't need to. They're trying to get to that, what we talked about earlier, that group of people that are not going to go research whatever, CNBC tells them or MSNBC, that is the truth. It's all to generate sound bites and to create division, because then people like you and I are like, it was right on TV. There's video evidence that it, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, that doesn't exist.
So again, the problem is still coming forth. You've got that group of people in the middle, the uninformed who are becoming misinformed.
Useful idiots, as I call them. Yeah.
You listen to CNN. I think they've had a new record now. They actually have more employees than do listeners.
Yeah, you mentioned that before.
Yeah, so I think they're doing a new record and they are moving on.
I mean,
You know,
and they keep doubling down on it. They're broke. Did you see ESPN's laying off a bunch of people?
no, I didn't.
Oh, yeah. That's coming too. The rumor is basically they're cleaning out all the white people. I'm not kidding. It was, it was a former.
Well, not white males are the only group you can pick on.
Well, that basically Disney, who owns ESPN,
Yes, they do.
has said you need to cut. I forget what the percentage is. Whatever that percentage is.
I think it's 10%.
But they're targeting the white males. So, Stephen A. Smith, who is probably their number one host, who happens to be black, has no fear of losing his job. Right? There's no way they're going to take him out. And he is pretty radical.
He's out there.
He's also a total head case. I actually met him once. His ego makes mine look like, you know,
Now
a
that's
speck.
something to say.
But you look at, I could rattle off a bunch of names. That's neither here nor there. But again, it's a purge, right? They're using this opportunity. Now, maybe they do need to cut staff. They need to cut costs because they're failing miserably. Their ratings are in the toilet too. They're hemorrhaging billions of dollars. Okay, fair enough. You do need to cut costs, but we're going to cut it based on the skin color. And I'm sorry, that's wrong. And if they targeted all blacks or Asians or women or whatever, I would have the same issue.
I agree.
But because it's white males that'll be the ones,
That's okay.
it's not only okay, it's cheered. Because they had
Encouraged is a better word.
the same thing happen around 2018. And if you go look at who they got rid of, they had the token minorities they got rid of. But for the most part, it was white males they got rid of. And they went right down. That's when they started plummeting. I have not watched ESPN. Now, mind you, I watched it a lot. I have not watched ESPN since 2018, 19, somewhere in there. Not even, I don't even watch football on it because it's so bad.
Well, going back a little bit to CNN, once they lost their ability to put it in every airport, they were done.
Well, that was their income. That was their revenue stream. And that,
was their
again,
money.
but rather than say, oh, gee, maybe we should look at this and come more to the center. I'm not even saying become center. Just move that way. Maybe we could save some
Yeah, but
ratings.
The problem with that becomes when you have people that own them that have so much money.
They don't care.
I'm
Yeah.
going to lose $100 million. Okay, petty
It's a
cash.
it's a tax write-off.
Petty cash.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that. If you had somebody there that was trying to keep their head above water, he's going to do whatever he can to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And that means move center left, center right, whatever it's going to be to get the audience you need. That's a whole big different world. I will give you an example. At least you look at the Murdochs and Fox. Okay, and I try not to, but
I was going to say, why?
because they own it.
I know they do.
And the older guy gave it to his two sons to run, and he said, "Okay, you got it." Now these guys are as liberal as the sun coming up in the morning every day. You can't get much more liberal than them, but they are not stupid enough to take off all that conservative commentary because that's where the money comes in.
That's why the Fox is making the money it is, and
Now I
CNN's
admit
not.
that they play a little bit with Brett Baer's show and other in the morning.
Oh
shows
yeah,
like
they
that.
do some things, but
When it comes to those big conservative money from 7 o'clock on, they don't mess with those people at all.
no, because they're the cash cow.
Though I will say, and I don't know this to be true, but I suspect it, I'm surprised that Tucker Carlson only had 2 tapes from January 6th, 2 nights of taping. With 40,000 hours, I'm sure he might have been able to find 3 or 4.
It's a good point I hadn't thought of.
I have a feeling that somewhere above said enough is enough.
You think it came from the network or the government?
Well, it could be through the government to the
Because
Murdochs to them.
the turtle in the Senate might have made a phone call.
He hit his head. He's still out getting his brain fixed. Dude.
I mean, we don't know.
They're doing a transplant with an amoeba.
But I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm sure the leaders of the network were involved. I'm not saying they're
I'm
not,
sure
but
they didn't cut Tucker. And Tucker, again, we've talked about this. He's not a Trump person,
no, he's not.
but which gives him credibility with what he did.
Right.
Because he's not pro Trump and he was not like a Sean Hannity showing it. It's automatically coming. Well, if Trump burps, he says, "God bless you," and move on. And I said,
It was the greatest burp in the history of mankind.
and more people will burp with him. But
Yeah, I don't like
But
Hannity, but
Tucker Carlson went through 40,000 hours of tape, and he managed to get 2 segments out of it.
yeah. So what? Yeah, that's a good question. I hadn't really thought of that. Again, I'll be a conspiracy theorist. Oh no.
It'll probably be true in about 2 weeks.
I was going to say, in about a year, I'll be proven right, but I have a feeling that phone calls were made behind the scenes from government officials
To the Murdochs.
to the Murdochs
And they
saying,
got to Tucker.
get rid of it. Yeah. And if you're Tucker and I don't know how many millions a year he makes.
Yeah, but
It's a lot.
If he wanted to, he could have stood up and said, "You're not controlling my show."
He could.
And I'm going to walk away. And I guarantee you, there would be people lining up. He'd make more money
You
on
think?
another station.
I don't know. That's a big leap, Bill. If you're making, I'm going to say hypothetically, he's making 10 million a year, which is not out of the realm of possibility.
No, that may be cheap.
It may be a lot cheap. That's a lot to walk away from.
Yeah, but the man always talked about. He always talks about having principles.
Oh, they all do that, Bill. Come on.
What, do you think, even in this job I'm now, I would give up the money if I didn't believe something I'm doing and move on from there?
The high bucks you're getting
Yeah,
paid,
big bucks.
the big bucks, or the big bucks I'm getting paid to do this show.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, it's to kind of again talk about the Trump thing. It's really scary, and again, our theme for the day seems to be frogs in a pot. It's just they keep incrementally moving the goalposts further and further,
Turning the heat up, and no one's jumping.
and no one's knowing. And we're trying to speak out, and we're two old white guys, so most of what we say gets tossed aside. But we're very few of that actually have the guts to speak out.
Except, and I really believe one of the reasons that, as they call them, Mr. Twinkies, which is the nickname for the DA in New York City.
I know it
Mr.
is.
Twinkies,
I know.
and mainly because of his diet. But
Yeah, the trainer in me wants to say something, but I won't.
But the reason he can't, he's tried 2 or 3 times now to get that grand jury to do something, and as of yesterday, he couldn't get him to pull the trigger.
And think about that for a second. What is the old saying about grand juries?
You can get a ham sandwich and die there.
Exactly. A ham sandwich. I mean, have you ever been in a grand jury room?
Yes.
It's amazing.
19 people sitting in a room looking at one guy in the front.
Whatever you say, sir. Here's your bill.
You don't have to give both sides.
Because there's no evidence really.
Do you think I might be right? Possibly. Good.
Yep,
Bad.
that's good enough. That's all I need.
And
That's
I only
exactly.
need a simple majority. I don't need everybody.
Yeah, and facts.
And do we hear from the other side?
Oh, but I was going to say, and does the other side get a chance to rebut anything? Nope.
Nope.
So to get to the point where they can't even get an indictment, that's there.
I'm not sure at this point, or they can't get the indictment, or they're afraid what's going to happen if they do and they try to arrest this man.
I think it's more a case they can't. In New
I'm
York,
hoping-
they can't get the indictment. I really do think it is.
Think about, and I
But
will
you're
tell
right, I don't
if
disagree with
heard
you.
Dan Bongino this week.
Oh my God, it's a landslide victory for Trump if they arrest him.
Beyond that, he's also worried about his physical health. He's saying you drag him into New York with all the crazies around in every direction. You put him in court. You do all that kind of good stuff, and he doesn't get the size of the FBI coverage that the president does, sitting president does.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an issue there.
If that happened, there wouldn't be a Democrat that would win anything. I mean, truthfully, I
I have a feeling, and the one mistake I give our former president is when he said to people, "If they arrest me, go out and protest."
yeah, I get what he meant. That's a good point. I get what he meant, but the verbiage was typical Donald.
But not only that, you're setting yourself up.
There's no good to come from it.
90% of you people show up to do what you want, a peaceful protest. The agitators show up, and it could be leftist agitators dressed as your
You
people,
only need
or Proud
one.
Boys.
You
Either
need
one.
one.
One idiot, and you got started.
And that's, I understand what he mean. Speak out, kind of like we're doing right here, right? There's nothing wrong with that.
And there's people waiting downstairs.
I was going to say, and then the FBI just showed up, Homeland. But that was really, when I heard it, I actually heard him say it, on his
So did
thing.
I.
And I went, oh God, not again.
Yeah, me too.
I literally was like, no, he doesn't think that way. He means peaceful protesting, but he didn't say it that way. So the other side is going, there's a soundbite.
And as soon as something happens, and it will.
And it absolutely is going to.
Yeah, someone's going to do something. He's going to throw something, either a Trump person or someone pretending to be a Trump person, or even a police officer who
Anyone.
overreacts to something. And
Or,
that's possible too.
I don't know, the FBI plants someone in the, because, that might have happened January 6th.
FBI would never do
Oh, yeah, no, that's never there's never been false flag operations run by anyone in the
Not
history of
FBI.
mankind.
You're mixing him
Or
up
this,
with
yeah.
people that know what they're doing.
But that was a really poor choice of words. I understand what he was trying to do, but there's where he needs a filter.
But the other side of this, and looking into it, he's not even got the full support of his family.
Well, I'm not a big supporter of his as far as running again.
So,
But, yeah.
you had Jared in his.
Yeah, he's lost all that.
And now he's got Melania's kind of taken off into support.
Oh, I hadn't heard about her.
Yeah, she's kind of going back into the backwoods in this thing too.
Oh, I did not know that one.
So I'm not sure he's doing the right thing right now.
I again, I've said before, I loved his policies. I think he could have done amazing things if he'd learned to shut up. He's a celebrity first and foremost. It helped get him elected. Let's give credit there, but his policies could have done amazing things, but his ego didn't let it
But
happen.
unfortunately, we fed that ego.
Of course we
And I'll
did.
tell you why. Because he was the first person to talk back to all these people.
And he should be applauded for that.
And what happened was we sang so much, yes, you did a great job,
just-
keep doing it.
yeah.
They just kept going
He
that
took it
direction. Yes,
like
to the
that.
next hill.
Yep. I mean, it was like a jet plane taking off. It was like an F-15 going full Mach whatever straight up. And unfortunately, the negative to that was the amazing policies he was putting in place, which we've talked about before. Now nobody even talks about them or thinks about them.
Nope.
And
Well, that's because the first thing they did coming in the Biden administration, try to take
well,
the wall down.
they reversed most of it.
Wherever they could possibly turn around.
But you look at 2024, who knows what's going to happen at this point? It's
Well,
if-
according to DeSanctimonious DeSantis. Heard that one?
I have, yeah.
Yes, DeSanctimonious. He likes that word because he doesn't know what it means. And it's a big, long word, and he says he has no idea what it means, but it sounds good.
It's if it comes down to, let's say, Trump, Biden, God help us.
I don't see Biden getting a nomination. I'm sorry. I don't care. Sitting president, and you saw what he did today about he's really upset with his vice president.
No, I missed that one. What do you do
doesn't
now?
think she supports him,
Well, no
and
shit.
she's not taking anything off his plate.
Well, she.
Yeah, be good. Remember, we don't want to be banned. So you need to
I'm
be
just gonna
good.
let that one go, Bill. That's it. I'm gonna let it go because there's too much to be said. I did not hear that one.
We done pushing Trump around right now, or
Yeah, I
there's one
mean,
thing we need to haven't gotten to yet?
all right, go for it.
Syria.
Go ahead.
If you-
I don't want to talk about this, but we need to.
We do need to. Talk
Yeah, we
about
do
it.
need to.
If you haven't heard, which basically means you've been locked up for the last 24 hours in your basement without anything on. The Iranians flew a unmanned drone into a building, which killed one American, wounded about half a dozen others, 5 of them being military. And we all know, for example, that contractor who was killed was former military who's doing contract work for the government. So we then responded with targeted plane attacks, killing 8 of them in various places around the nation. Now, what people are not talking about, this was either the 78th or the 79th attack on Americans since he's taken office in Syria. That's never been put out there.
I wasn't aware of that one.
Only reason I know that is because Chris Plant was on the story. And he was kind of pushing that out there. So I'm sounding
I'm
brilliant
actually
today.
a little bit stunned to hear that. Like that many. And we've done nothing.
2021,
And
when
we've
he
done
took
nothing.
office, this is the first time they've responded to 78 or 79 attacks on our people over there. Why now? And I'll tell you why now. Because he needs a distraction, and he needs to live. Is it a coincidence that 2 days before we had this attack, his approval rating was at 38 or 39%, and now he's defending the
It
country
went
in
up
the
to
war?
that.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it is.
You know-
Fortunately, his IQ doesn't go up with his approval rating. That's the problem.
Yeah. They love, we talked about it at the very beginning of the show, the right hand and the left hand are doing 2 different things. And you're right, it is looking for that distraction to avoid.
Anytime
Accountability.
they do something, especially with the military, and they're doing something with the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, that's designed because they're doing something worse over here.
Yeah.
They got to get your mind off it.
But I mean, we talked about last week, with the drone, right? This is just yet another instance that's going on. There's a new axis forming, basically, which is China, Russia, Iran,
Don't forget North Korea.
North Korea. Well, I mean, North Korea wouldn't last 3 seconds against us, but they do have some bombs.
They also have 1 million soldiers looking at our 50,000.
I told
I
you,
don't like
all
the
we got to do
odds.
to solve that is drop a bunch of food on them. End of the North Korean army.
We don't have any left. We've been sending it to Ukraine.
That's true, though. But you see that I'll call it an axis. I don't know if I should use that term, but they're formed. It's not, they're coming,
New
they're
alliance.
formed. New alliance. It's already here. If you think they're not talking, I mean, Xing met with Putin this week.
And you heard what our government said?
Go ahead.
They claimed that it was a success that they're partnering together.
I know.
The United
I-
States policy was a success.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know in what terms you could look up and come up with
that's
that
why
answer.
I'm having a hard time right now, Bill. I don't want to get us banned. The level of stupidity of that is mind-boggling.
Just when you think you hit the basement of the building, they open up a subfloor.
And you think about it, I mean, we're two old guys, but you think back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, Russia was the enemy. China was not the enemy, but not trusted. Let's go with that until Kissinger went in.
Well, China wasn't capable of doing
They were,
anything.
well, yeah, they were lucky to be able to feed themselves at that point. But you could see the potential for sure. And now we have a government that's like, well done, you've come together.
It's our policy to make the world safer.
It's going to make us safer. It's going to make the world safer. Who are you kidding? There is nothing good that's going to come from that. And then you throw in Iran, who is,
And North Korea, who has this habit of testing these intercontinental missiles on a regular basis, just to fire them out in the
It's-
sea to aggravate the hell out of them.
I'm going to throw this out there, and I already know my answer, but I'll let you answer first. Do you think they want the war? They want a war?
No, I think they want to push, and they're going to take what they want because they know we're not going to fight.
I'm talking about us wanting a
Our
war.
people,
Yeah,
I think they'll start it.
I think they want a war.
I don't know if they want it, but I don't think
I
they're
think-
capable of figuring out till it's too late. To
I
fight a war.
think there's a lot. What happens? Who makes a lot of money?
Oh, there's no doubt that at this particular point, the Democrats have crossed over to the industrial
Exactly.
complex.
Exactly
The
my
military
point.
industrial complex
That's it.
is now Democratic. It's no longer Republican.
That's
as it
my
was 10,
point,
20 years
right?
ago.
So, so a few 100,000 Americans die. Who cares? We made billions. I actually think, because do you really think they're this stupid?
No, wait a minute. I'm going to stop you there. And here's why I'm
Go ahead.
stopping you. Because every time we ask the question, are they that stupid? They take it as a personal challenge and they try to go to the next level of stupidity. We got to stop it.
Call me naive, and I know you will. I cannot believe they're that stupid.
They are.
I think they know exactly what they're doing.
They're global at the same time. They don't let little things like defense bother them because we're one world.
Well, that's the point, right? How can we make money? How can we get control? It's money, control, that's power, whatever, however you want to phrase it.
Well, power comes from money and control.
That's my point, right? I think they know exactly what they're doing. And is it going to affect them?
No.
You think they care that eggs were $8 a dozen or gas was $5 a gallon? They could care less about that.
As a matter of fact, it fits their because they want green
They,
energy.
they're the ones that made the money off of it. If we have to send in a few divisions into pick your country and we lose a bunch of people, does it affect them? Their sons aren't the ones going. It's again, we could spend 5 hours on. There are so many topics that are out there, and our belief and what we're trying to do is to speak for the families of those soldiers that would be sent there, because they're the ones that are going to pay the ultimate price
And the families
potentially.
stay along with that soldier.
Exactly.
Whoever he or
Exactly.
she is.
Yes. And that's why we need to speak up. We need to be contacting our Congress people and senators and, instead of sitting in the pot boiling, try and get out. We'll be right back on.
We'll be right back with Reclaiming America when he gets his act together. Hang in there.
I need a drink.
Welcome back to Reclaiming America, Part 2. As we travel the world, solving the world's issues.
Whatever she says, you just poof. She's got you trained well.
Yep.
So I want to talk EVs.
Yes, we've all talked about electronic vehicles, all these electrical vehicles
Yeah.
that we have running around here, hybrids, electric vehicles.
All of them things. Yeah.
One of the problems that the states are having is gasoline taxes. Roads are maintained by you paying X number of cents per gallon to drive your vehicle on their roads. When you have an electric vehicle, you can't do that because there's no money there. So some of the states are coming up with an additional registration tax to try and offset that.
offset
I
it,
think
yeah.
it's much too low. For example, in North Carolina, it's $130.
Yeah, we need to triple that.
Yeah, I think I would just love to spend $130 a year in gas taxes.
I mean, you think about who owns the electronic vehicles now, because they're $60,000, $80,000.
Oh yeah,
The people that can afford to pay a few $100s more for registration, they don't. This is the law of unintended consequences. We're going to go electric cars. Do you think it ever crossed their mind that, oh, wait a minute, we're not going to get the gas tax revenue? No.
beyond that, did it cross their mind that they're going to have to use fossil fuels to tap them off?
Well, yeah, that's true too. Or to recharge them and
Same difference.
yeah, the whole thing. But Bill, electricity is magically created. It comes through the plug. There was actually a person on TikTok, so he was going around asking people that were in favor of electronic cars. Well, what do you think about where the electricity comes from? He goes, what do you mean? It comes out of the wall.
Look, there was
You can't make this stuff up. I
there
know.
was a woman, and I will not say her hair coloring because it just makes an old joke. But there was a woman who actually wrote an article in the paper.
Hey, right here. Right here.
Who I didn't say that, did I? She was a redhead.
Okay, nice save. Wrong. By the way, I'm a redhead, so or I was.
You're a no hair.
Yeah.
You-
Anyway.
you got that mohair jacket. You keep rolling. There's no more hair.
Yeah.
Anyway, she oh, I lost where I was heading with this one.
The woman was talking.
Oh, the woman who wrote an article to a paper and actually published it. She doesn't understand why people have to hunt when they can go to the store and get all the meat they want without killing an animal.
I've heard similar things like, groceries. You just go to the grocery store and get them.
Yeah.
They just magically appear.
Animals just roll in and
Good,
say,
yeah.
"I'd like to be meat
Yeah.
today."
Kill me and turn me into food. It's setting that aside because
We're not going anywhere with
you
that
just, and the scary part is they can vote.
one. And do.
And do. That's the sad. But when you look at, I'm actually not anti-electric vehicle. I'm not. I think they've got some uses, but they are not. They're not going to save the planet. And there are a lot of issues that nobody wants to talk about. One being the power grid.
Which they're going to ruin.
It's already ruined. I mean, it can't keep up as it is. They're shutting down air conditioning in cities because the grid can't keep up with it. Now you're going to add
You
in
mean the rolling blackouts?
the rolling blackouts through LA.
We're going to have them here sooner or later too.
And then you look at that and they're like, okay, we're going to plug 1 million electronic vehicles in.
But we don't have to worry there because we're putting in a 1.6 gigawatt.
Don't
or
get,
shore
I knew he was going here.
windmills.
I really was hoping he was not going to go to windmills again because I've had my fill of windmills. And 1.6 gigawatts is nothing, by the way.
According to the experts, it will electrically handle 500,000 homes.
And what would one nuclear plant handle?
According to them, only 300,000. And would you argue with their figures?
Yeah, no, I would never.
Just like something I didn't know during that meeting is that when the winds get to 60 miles an hour offshore, they fold up all the little
Yeah, because of
they fold up all their little fans and they close them down.
yeah, and then the oil leaks in when they do that too. But let's not go with it. I don't want to talk about windmills, Bill. You know, when you look at this whole scenario with the EVs, but just the environment argument in general, is they don't think it through. They look at the surface thing. All right, electronic cars, great, less pollution. Well, guess what? Hydrogen cars don't generate pollution either. You know.
You're still looking with is you develop something that you can't support, so you're secretly supporting it using the fossil fuels you're trying to do
Well,
away with.
that's yeah. So electricity's got to be generated. It doesn't just come from the wall. Whether it's their solution. Oh, we'll just create windmills everywhere. Okay.
Or solar panels.
Or so okay. Well, solar panels come from China. And if you're a fireman, you might not be too big of a fan of those because they kill firemen.
So solar panel, my favorite story with that is I was talking to a man on one of the Hawaiian Islands, and I said to him, you're all big into these solar panels, and exactly how many solar panels would it take to take care of this island? He said, it'd be very simple. We have to clear off everything on the
I was gonna
island
say you have to cover the island.
and put the entire island with solar panels, and we can cover our needs.
And full disclosure, I had solar panels on our house up north. And in the summer, they're great. They really are. I mean, they paid me to have electricity because National Grid, who was our provider, we over-generated. They would cut us a check. The problem was, in the north, there's this little thing called snow that comes down once in a while.
Really?
And when the snow comes down, you're not generating any power.
Unless you have regular blowers.
So, we didn't have gas heat. So our electric bills were $600 a month if it snowed. If it didn't snow, they might be a couple $100.
And going back to that same thing in Hawaii, I was talking to this driver who, and we had a nice conversation with him. He showed me his house, which was halfway up a hill, and he was very proud of the fact that with his solar panels, he cut his electric bill down to $750 a month.
How much was he paying for the panels?
Didn't matter. But he also
He
said to me,
said,
he says, now you also understand why nobody in Hawaii retires.
Yeah,
They have to
'cause
work for electricity.
You have to. I mean, again, I had solar panels. I can speak about their benefits. Like I said, in the summer, we got free electricity. And we got money for it. October, I'd get a check for $200-300, which is interesting because they charge you like 15 cents a kilowatt. They pay you for when you generate for them about a half a cent. Gee, how's that work?
When my dad moved to Oklahoma, he put his own individual windmill on his farm.
Oh, yeah.
So he had one that it was probably broken 80% of the time.
Uh-huh.
It didn't work, the little bit that ran, he would occasionally get a check, but it was like 1.5 cents.
Yeah,
He was
they-
never paying. It was never the same cost that what he was
Right.
paying for the other side.
I mean, they are useful. They can be part of what we need to do to
A
generate.
diversified grid. I agree.
But
with that.
it is not a solution. You would have to cover the entire United States basically to handle North Carolina's power needs. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but so to think that you're going to then take millions of electronic cars and power them through solar is absurd.
Or power them from windmills.
Absurd. You'd have to put a windmill literally every 5 feet.
Yeah, so we could end up with more coal-fired or more gas-fired or even nuclear. And that's,
Oh, you won't
that's
see
not-
nuclear though, because my God, 3 Mile Island.
A friend of ours, I won't say his name, but it starts with Greg, is in the process of interviewing for some positions around the country in nuclear, and 2 of the positions are in California to decommission
Get rid of them.
nuclear plants. California has so much extra electricity.
I know. Amazing. Here, we're going to cut the amount available. It's that law of unintended consequences. It sounds great. We're going to save the environment by getting rid of nuclear, which that's a whole argument I can counter. What are you going to replace it with? And oh, by the way, to create windmills and solar panels, you have to strip mine the environment to get the materials to create them.
And very little of it is recyclable.
Did they talk about that the other day, by the way?
Which
About the strip mining?
no, they
Oh,
don't
they
do that
they
part.
don't want to talk about that part because I did bring that up
But
before.
they did discuss the fact that they are working on solutions to
get over the problem of it not being recyclable.
I mean, they're going to figure out how to not bury them in landfills where they'll
They don't think that's a
never.
problem.
That's not a problem.
See, you agree?
So
with
you're
that?
going to take a blade that's 60 odd feet long. We're not talking one either. Dump them in a landfill. They'll never deteriorate. By the way, I could solve the energy crisis like that. Waste to energy.
Oh, now that would power a lot.
So I worked for a company that was a waste to energy. The entire city of Springfield, Massachusetts is run on garbage, the electricity.
Oh, if you go to the Middle East, a lot of their fire and heat
They do the
comes
same
from
thing.
camel turds.
Yeah. So,
So we could burn those.
the argument, yeah.
So we could go around collecting some.
Wait. Anyway, you notice that never
be.
became.
I'm working.
Yeah, really. You notice that never is part of the conversation, right?
Nope.
So Albany, New York had they started to go that way. It was called the Answers Plant, and what it was going to be is they were going to take the garbage from Albany and burn it and generate electricity from it. Now the environmentalists had a cow because, oh my God, you're burning garbage. Their solution is to bury it. The landfill in Albany, when I was a kid, which was 1970, my father and I used to go dump the garbage in it, was 40 feet down. It is now 400 feet up.
Have you seen the ones of Staten Island?
I know.
You talk about mountains to climb.
So I can speak about this. So because the company I worked for was heavily involved in this, they would drill down and do what's known as core samples. They were pulling out heads of lettuce and newspapers from the 70s that had not deteriorated one bit. You could read the newspaper still. The head of lettuce, not that you could eat it, but theoretically you could, because there's no oxygen getting in there. Without oxygen, it doesn't deteriorate.
Or without water.
Or without, well, water is you're going to get from rain, but the materials in those landfills is never going away, ever. It may shrink a little bit, but think about it, you just built a 400-foot tall mountain out of garbage. And they also tend to site them near rivers.
Yep.
So when you go to create a landfill, they dig out and they put these huge mats down. They're football field sized mats. And they crisscross them so that no water can get through. Now, 2 offices over from me was the engineer, and he used to laugh when they said that. He goes, "You think it's not leaking? There's no way we could stop it." But
Well, we know the rule about water and least resistance.
it's going to get through, right? So, again, this is where environmentalists don't think. We can't burn it and create electricity, which creates ash. That is a negative, which gets landfilled. That's their argument. Well, you're going to landfill the ash. Well, have you ever burned something like a piece of wood? A log is this. How much ash do you get out of it? So you're going to put much less in. But again, that's not even part of the conversation. We're going to build windmills and solar, but we can't talk about how they're created or what we do with them when they're old. Because what do you think they do with solar panels too?
They find a place to bury
They
them.
bury them. And again, it speaks to that whole conversation. And rather
Well,
than
you want to go there and talk about a $6,000 electric battery to run one of these cars.
6,000, try 16,000.
I drive the cheaper models. I can't afford.
There
the
was
money.
somebody that posted on TikTok that they had gotten, I forget the brand, it wasn't Tesla, an electronic vehicle in like 2017. So it was like 6 years old. And the battery needed to be replaced. $16,000 to replace the battery. He said, that's what I paid. It was a little bit less than what he paid for. But you think about that, and where did that battery go? Right in a landfill.
Mhm.
So rather than have adult conversations
No, we don't have it all.
and say, hey, what's worse though, Bill, is not only can we not have the conversations, but when you try and bring them up, they want to shut you down from having them.
Because they don't want to face the consequences
Because they
that
don't-
they're causing.
Right. They don't want to deal with the realities.
Right.
It sounds great. We're going to go to electronic vehicles and have windmills everywhere because windmills are wonderful.
Well, that leads me right into this little town in Nevada, I believe it is, 21,000 people, and they just passed a ordinance forbidding. They have 6 gas stations in this town, and they have forbidden any further gas stations to be built
because of the environmental issues. Now, as people pointed out, if you only have 6 stations and as your population grows, it makes the lines longer waiting for gas, which burns more gas while you're waiting to buy gas.
Yep.
So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So, and then they also wanted spacing. Gas stations
Oh,
had
they
to be
would-
spaced. They couldn't be close to each other. They had to be so they're not approving any more of them for the town of 21,000. And they admit that their decision will have little, if any, effect on the environment
So why they're doing it, right?
because it's part of climate change.
It sounds good. Is the same thing, right? So again, now they can crow. Well, we did something to help the environment, but in reality, it's got the opposite effect, right? Because yeah, you're sitting in car with or line with your car idling.
Well, go back to the gas lines we used to have
Oh,
in the
well,
70s. And,
yeah, but most of our listeners weren't even alive then.
well, I remember sitting in my dad's car when he was trying to fill it up. I was, what, maybe 3?
We're talking the 70s, not the 20s.
1 year aside.
You know, again, it speaks to. I mean, California's looking to ban gas stoves.
So is New York.
New York also. Well, New York does whatever California tells it to. New York has no independent brain whatsoever. It's whatever you want, California will do it too. Yeah, I said it.
Well, if one is the head, the other one has to be the other part.
The other one's the colon. And we're both ex-New Yorkers, so we're allowed to say that.
And we do.
But, you know, you think about gas stoves. Environmental impact is a gas stove really having negligible. And hello, what if they're propane
What about, if you're going to go there, what about barbecues?
or barbecues? Yeah, you're going to ban barbecues.
Or the little stoves you have in your room.
That's my
garden.
point with all that. You okay? So I guess you're going to go on a picnic. You're going to truck along your little EV and plug in your little electronic
Or you have to
grill.
build a fire from wood.
Oh, can't do that.
Yeah, we can.
No, Bill, that's not environmentally friendly.
Sure it is, because we're using recyclables. Well,
No.
wood is recyclable.
The smoke is
It's
toxic.
renewable, excuse me, wrong term.
The smoke is toxic, Bill. But it's okay to burn entire forests down to build
Yeah, if you want
windmills.
to try toxic smoke, go down Cape Todd Road, where they've been burning for about 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
They cleared this area and they've got large piles of trees everywhere.
It's amazing. Yeah, the whole thing. I mean, I just think it's a farce anyway. Climate change. You and I know you're old enough. You remember in the 70s we were going to go into an ice age. It was imminent, and it was scientifically proven we were going to.
By the way, I want to tell you something. Do you remember Miss Greta, the little teenager running around that was going to
Thunberg?
Yep. She had to adjust her statements because in 2017, in 2023, the world was going to be on fire.
Oh yeah, we were 6 years. Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
So now she's adjusting it to, she's figuring out a new date when the world's going to burn. But at least obviously, all her work has saved it.
AOC said in 2020 that by 2028 we were done. So she's going to have to fix hers too, probably. Yeah.
If brains were dynamite, AOC couldn't blow it.
Well, now you got me going. You got Thunberg. I'm not even sure I'm saying that right. Here is, how old is she now? Probably 18, 19? Because she was like 14 at the time.
She may be that.
So her college education, right?
But she's still a
But
renowned
she
expert.
knows, she's an actress.
At 14, she was a scientific expert.
Meanwhile, actual experts are getting banned from talking because of her. And oh, by the way, she took a sailing ship to go from the United States back to Europe. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
So there was, of course, what she didn't tell you was the person that was driving that sailing ship was flown over from Europe to get on the Oops. So, it's like,
And you wonder why we don't do any torpedo practice.
it's like, the stupidity of it all again. Why can't we as adults sit down and say, hey, let's look at windmills, solar. Yeah, they have a place, and I think they do, but they're not the be-all, end-all.
No, there's got to be a diverse plan to make the grid work. And it's got to come from multiple sources because given one time or another, one of those sources is going to go down.
If the wind's not blowing, you got no wind generation. If the sun's not shining, you got no solar. The one that's always there is nuclear.
That's true. And if you
Unless there's a big storm coming in, then they shut down.
yeah, even coal plants can occasionally have an issue and
Right.
shut down.
There's nothing that's perfect. Nuclear is probably the closest, but there are times it shuts down. So having that diversity and pulling from different resources is in everyone's best
And I'm
interest.
good if the state wants to go and set up all those pieces to the pie. But that includes using fossil fuels.
Got to drive the trucks to bring the blades to go. Or if you're going to put them offshore, you got to drive the trucks to the shoreline to put them on these big heavy boats to truck them out.
Well, now, I'm going to go back to the show you weren't there for, that we talked a little bit about all the jobs that are going to be created.
Oh, okay. But I thought it was about saving the environment.
Here's what happened.
I'm in deep
The-
trouble
the-
now.
The three people that were there, and they brought along a young gentleman who's the assistant to the Carly now.
Okay.
They predict that for 3 years they're creating 10,000 jobs to create this place. I said, fine.
10,000 jobs?
10,000 jobs. I said, let's break that down. How many of them are permanent? Well, most of them are going to be during the construction phase, which is 3 years long. I said, all right, after that, how many are left?
Yeah, you got Henry fired up now.
Yeah, now,
He's like, I'm coming here to talk about power. Go ahead.
and they said to me, there'll be 1,000 jobs. I said, wait a minute. How many of those jobs are going to be in direct support of this windmill farm? About 100, and they're all going to pay 60 to 80,000.
He's talking. He's trying to talk in the microphone. Are you picking that up?
Obviously, he's a supporter. He's about to give you some windmill support.
It's like,
too.
this is great. Oh, now he's on the camera. Go ahead.
Okay,
He does not like windmills either.
and then I said, well, what about the other 900 jobs? Well, they're going to be scattered throughout the state for parts that need to be made to be shipped in as something breaks or whatever else. So I said, so you're telling me that you're going to create 100 jobs to support this regional thing permanently?
Right,
Well,
so-
if you want to look at it that way.
Well, yeah, we do. What, Bill? All right. There's other jobs that are created. They got to have the slave labor to mine all the materials to make it. So,
Yeah, we're not doing that.
And by the way, I'm not anti-windmill in the sense that I do think they have a place. But again, to hype it up and create 10,000 jobs, come on. I mean, it's hyperbole to get your point across, which is the problem. Instead of them saying, here's what we're going to do, here's the benefits, they create all these other things that, and then the other side does the same thing, by the way. It's going to kill every fish in the ocean. No, it's not.
Well, I asked the windmill question. I asked the whale thing.
Yeah.
And it was explained to me that one set of whales has been infected with diseases for 10 years, so it couldn't be that. And the other one has got such an overpopulation, we're just seeing more die because of the population. So
It's, both sides go
well,
to the
no,
extremes.
it gets better.
Oh, I don't
The next
even
question
You're
I
going to
asked
kill me here.
was about the number of birds killed.
There's not a single bird that's been
Oh,
killed.
no, here's the number.
I know the numbers. Go ahead.
They're projecting that on this windmill farm that's going off of whatever island up here, not Oak Island, but I forget the name of the island. But it's gonna
basically
be
off
basically
Southport.
us.
Yeah.
They will kill 500,000 birds
Yeah.
over
It's
this time frame.
just
and-
that one farm, by the way.
Right.
That
Now-
one farm. And they want
But-
many of them.
But they gave me some realities. Like, for example, if you own cats, they kill 100 million birds a year. So therefore,
It's
what's the
okay.
problem? We're only doing 500,000.
So,
This was, if you want to watch the show, you just got to go watch All Things Brunswick for that show. And it's all in that story. And they threw us something else that kills 10 million a year, only 20 million a year. And they're only doing 500,000. So they're better. So
we'll leave it at that.
I think we probably should wrap today, don't you? Is there anything
Wrap?
we missed?
I can't rap. I can't sing.
Right in both counts. You got my support on both of those things. Anything we missed today?
Oh, there's tons, but we have lives too, right?
Well,
But anyway, let's
we
wrap
still-
it up.
We still should say one thing, that we do have to give President Biden our condolences, because he's just figured out that his vice president doesn't take anything off his plate that he needs to get done. And probably with the vice president, it probably means that you won't eat the pablum.
If I didn't have something tonight, we could do 4 hours on just that, because
I'm sure
you're
we
going to
could,
get me
but,
fired
you
up
know.
again,
He's up in Canada now, solving all the problems of the North.
along with Commissar Trudeau.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, let's leave it at that because we'll just
Anyway.
go. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment. Oh, comment. Well, I meant to mention that.
What you having?
There's someone that has been making some awesome comments. Did you know that?
No.
Some guy named Moore.
Oh, my brother has to.
Yes,
Larry.
it is Larry. So I want to give Larry a shout out because
Larry,
Go ahead.
keep your brother in money.
Yeah, but I do want to say because I actually like his comments.
Well, that's
And
one
thank you
answer.
for the compliments, by the way. Direct them to me. Come on, you know better than I do. You grew up with him.
He only knows how perfect I am.
But I did want to give him a shout out and thank you for commenting. And the rest of you, we want to hear your comments.
Yeah, we
good,
do read
bad,
them.
and
Well,
different.
one of us does.
I do read them all. Some of us do,
And I get the synopsis when we show up at the show.
or I send the really good ones to him. Then he goes, "Yeah, that's my brother."
Yeah.
That's basically what your response was. The one I sent to you.
Yep.
But no, to Larry because he's our probably most dedicated
And he's
viewer.
from Oklahoma.
Oh,
From Fort Gibson, Oklahoma,
okay.
which is right next to Muskogee. He's an Okie from Muskogee.
Well, that okay. Now I can relate to where it is. But anyway, thank you to him for commenting, and the rest of you, we'd love to hear your comments, good, bad, and different. Don't keep them at least mildly respective.
Yeah, and small words because the people here that don't.
Yeah,
know
and if you're gonna mention the fact that I'm bald, trust me, I've already heard it 100. I hear it every single day. It's like I don't know how that is an insult.
And there is no truth to the rumor upon his birth, Mom took away head and butt and said, "Ooh, twins." It is not a true story, so we want to keep that off the table.
Now Henry just
Now Henry's
fell
gonna
over
jump in
laughing
this
on that one. But
he's in for us now.
all right, wrap it
Anyway.
up.
Time to say good evening for all things America and reclaiming America. whatever it is. Reclaiming America. And we'll be back in another week with solving the problems of the world
Bill needs
with a
to
common sense approach.
Bill needs to have that test that they give at Medicare.
I keep forgetting to take it.
Yeah, and you failed it anyway. So, all right, till next time, guys. Have an awesome week. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, next week, same bad time.